All right, we're live. Yeah, you did the thing. Yay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I need to unmute your guys' mic. That will help.
So no one heard me do the thing. Good.
Nope. Do
We've
it.
been muted.
We're live.
Good.
Now
You
we're
gonna
no
do it?
longer
You gonna do it
muted.
again?
You know what? I had the impulse to do it. Every fiber of my being wanted to. I didn't.
But you
Feeling
did,
better.
so you actually did want to do it.
I didn't know. I feel bad. I don't want to be. I don't want to be like shoehorned into a specific thing. I don't want to be known as the oh hey guy. I want to be the one that's like, "Sup guys, I'm Devin." Like do the hair
Just
flip.
Don't. No, you have the hair for it, but I don't see that with you.
Just wait. Just wait.
All right. We ready to get into this?
Yes.
All right. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
I'm Devin.
and today we're changing things up a little bit. It is my pick for the week, and because Devin's been dragging his feet on this one for a while, we are talking about the Coen Brothers pick, No Country for Old Men, starring Tommy Lee Jones, Josh Brolin, and Javier Bardem. And Woody Harrelson for like a second. So
Yeah. Surprise Woody Harrelson and surprise Stephen Root. You'll love it.
Oh yeah. We'll get into that in a bit, but before we do that, we usually talk about things that we've watched in pop culture over the last week. Evidently, we've just watched nothing, so we have nothing to talk about this week. But I do want to show something off to Devin. Ryan's already seen this, but it's very funny that I have this for the show today because it is this person's birthday. Devin, I bought something this weekend that I want you to try to guess what it is. It's a
Okay.
you know what the kind of things that I like to buy when I'm out shopping at antique stores. It is from a show from the 90s,
Okay.
and it is complete in box. What do you think I bought this weekend?
You bought the whole show in a box.
I bought something from a show in a box.
Oh wow. Okay. You bought Mimi's makeup set from the Drew Carey show.
You are so close.
Am I
That is
really?
So close. This is so close.
I brought a Drew Carey doll.
I was so close.
And the reason it's funny is it's Drew Carey's birthday. So happy birthday, Drew Carey.
Oh, happy birthday. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's also a Mimi doll available that I am now
of course
going
there
to
is.
try to find.
So wait,
But-
is that that's from the Drew Carey show, like the one that no one can find anymore?
Yeah,
Wow. Do you think that holds up?
the Drew Carey show.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's a little bit like everything from the '90s. Like, not everything's gonna hold up completely, but I think the comedy's still there. Like, I rewatching some old like episodes of it. I'm like, I see where I got my sense of humor now. Like between that and Who's Line, like,
It probably holds up better than Just Shoot Me.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Just Shoot Me. It probably holds up better than Friends. That's like the touchstone for like shows that didn't
Yeah.
hold up from the 90s.
Um,
Gross.
yeah. No, I still enjoy it. It's a shame that it'll never be officially released on DVD or Blu-ray because of copyright, but
Are there like shady internet sites that I can go to? You don't have to answer me for our audio listeners, but you can shake your head. There you go. Attaboy. That's
um
what I'm doing after
Yeah.
this.
all right. Yeah. So let's get into today's main topic. The Coen Brothers film No Country for Old Men. This is my pick. Like I said last week on the show, the reason I decided that I wanted to watch this was Javier Bardem was on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and they talked about this movie while he was promoting The Little Mermaid, which comes out this week. Devin, you're a Disney adult. We were just making fun of you before the show about that.
Yeah, we
Are you
were.
gonna go see Little Mermaid this weekend?
No, I am so burnt out on the Disney live action movies. I love the cast. I love Javier Bardem. I love who they got to play Ariel. I think the design of Flounder in Sebastian is so weird. Because I don't know if you guys have seen it. They went for like awkwardly photorealistic, like crab and fish, which like, why?
I think that's been their theme though, because that's what they did for Lion King. So
Yeah, but Lion King kind of makes sense, I guess, because like a lion cub can be cute, but like you can't make a flounder fish cute. Like it just looks gross.
I would object. I think fish are cute, especially little fish like flounders and like clownfish, and crabs are cute. I think anyway. So I mean, I'm fine with that. He is going to be Jamaican though, right? Like that is going to happen.
Have you not seen the trailers? They lean hard into that still.
Okay, good. That
and
makes me happy.
It's Daveed Diggs from Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
That's the one thing they're so good at is they cast these things so well. Like Lion King cast is phenomenal. I mean, heck, even the Beauty and the Beast cast is phenomenal. Like they cast them well enough that you want to see them just on the virtue of their cast. But I don't think it's going to do enough with the story. But I get to see shirtless Javier Bardem as Triton. Maybe I'm showing up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, a lot to unpack there.
We'll go through it later. Don't worry.
Yeah. So that's what sparked me wanting to watch this movie. Is like I've heard about this movie for years. I've never seen it. I know Devin's been wanting me to see this because he likes the Coen brothers and he likes this film. So usually I'd ask like what your connection is, and I'm still going to. But Devin, I want to know, why have you held off on this movie?
It's one of those movies that I'm always waiting for something relevant or kind of like relevant to happen with, and for some reason like Little Mermaid wasn't enough for me. I was waiting for like a new Coen brothers release. I was waiting for like something to do with a Western or a I can't even remember, Cormac McCarthy, another Cormac McCarthy adaptation to happen, and none of them happened yet. But this is one of my favorite movies, like of all time.
Awesome. So even though it's my pick, Devin's probably going to lead a lot of the conversation.
Totally will.
Ryan,
yes.
Had you seen this movie before or not?
I had seen the first half of this movie when it like went from being when it was like first available for streaming, like on Netflix, when it had it like for the first time, and I wanted to bash my head against a wall through like the first hour, and I turned it off. And I had never wanted to go back to it. And then I watched it this morning, and I don't know what condition I watched this in originally, or what my mindset is different now compared to then, but this might be the only Coen Brothers movie that I will like buy a copy of. I really liked it the second time around. Like it was not what happened the first time was it dragged and dragged and dragged the first time I watched it, and I couldn't like deal with it anymore. And this time I watched it, and I didn't even feel that this time. So
okay,
yeah, incredible.
So usually the person who picked the movie talks about the first time they watched it. So let me tell you about the first time that I watched this, because even though I watched it last night, it's still kind of significant. I watched this last night in my living room on HBO Max. As of this morning, HBO Max is no longer a thing.
Oh, I can't wait for that to become a theme we talk about later.
Max is officially live as of this morning. I was looking at it before we went live and updating my profile icons on there. Cliff Steele from Doom Patrol, before you ask, and my wife is Snuffleupagus from. It's the same kind of layout as HBO Max was. Like they just dropped the HBO,
and that's it. It just kind of looks the same.
Yeah, but when I looked it up,
it reminds me of a movie quote where someone goes, "Max." What is that from?
One of the Goofy movies.
It might be.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do some googling. We'll
find the one podcast I listen to, they keep talking about Max, and they do the butler from Heart to Heart. When they met, it was murder, because his name was Max.
Good.
But yeah, so this is the last thing that I watched on HBO Max, which has been my go-to streaming service for the last few years. So I didn't realize this was going to be the last thing, but I was like, kind of good to know that this was the last thing that I watched on there. Yeah, Devin, Ryan's already told us about his first time. Tell us about your first time with No Country for Old Men. There we go.
So I got really into the Coen brothers when I was in college. They were like my benchmark for like what a well-directed movie is. And it started with Fargo, and then I got introduced to this movie, and I know that I bought it on, I think it was still DVD back then. I bought it on DVD, and I must have like worn the disc out watching it so many times. This world is a world that I just like being in. I find the pace of the movie like incredibly tense, but like very relaxing. And like I'll just come back to this movie probably more than I'll come back to most other movies, just in terms of wanting to spend more time with the characters, wanting to spend more time in this world. It's it's one of my like major touchstone movies in terms of like how I rate movies and what I think is a good movie, basically.
Okay.
Which maybe says a lot about me in terms of what I like in my movies. So we'll unpack all that too.
All right. So let's get into. I enjoyed this movie. It's not what I expected it to be. I think it's my I think it's the second best movie where Tommy Lee Jones plays a cop in the like Midwest. Because oddly enough, like that's a theme that has taken over his later career.
What other ones does he play a cop in the Old West?
They're not the Old West, but like the Midwest. Hell or High Water, which is on my list for you guys to watch here soon. From the guy who's behind like Yellowstone. It's
cool.
Very interesting movie with Tommy Lee Jones as a cop chasing down these two bank robbers played by Chris Pratt and not Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, and I forget the other actor. But we'll get to that eventually. And then if you count Men in Black as a cop, like it's just. Has Tommy Lee Jones played anything besides a cop? Wait, Two-Face. Duh.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
For a Coen Brothers movie, like I'm looking over some of the other ones, and one of the things that I think about when I think of their films is like music in the soundtrack. Yeah. Like I can looking at this list, I can think of a musical moment from The Big Lebowski or an Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? There's hardly any music in this, and it drives the tension so well. There were points in this where I actually I jumped from the tension, like in like loud noises, and not like guns going off or anything, but I think a phone rings at one point, and I was like, "Whoa, okay."
And that was enough because they do such a good job of building it in this movie.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I don't know if this is my favorite Coen Brothers movie, but I can see why it won Best Picture. So,
which one would you consider to be your favorite?
I really like Inside Llewyn Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite.
Ryan, what's yours? I'm really curious.
Probably this one.
Probably this one?
The Coen brothers and I don't usually get along.
Well, I know you didn't like Barton Fink when I had you watch that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was John Goodman in the hotel room. Have you guys seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes. No. Oh.
Okay, well that's something that we'll have to watch. And have you guys both seen Big Lebowski?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think Big Lebowski is my favorite. If I had to.
Have you seen Raising Arizona?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Raising Arizona. I liked it not as much as I like in comedic wise, not as much as I liked Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
I think that the other crime one that they do that I think I like about on the same level as this one is Fargo. I like Fargo a lot.
Okay.
And I think 90% of my enjoyment comes from their Midwestern accents. They're so good.
Yeah. I think I like the Fargo show a little bit more than the movie, just because you can go so in depth with those characters in that, and but the movie starting off this whole world that you get to know on that show is like, I still hold it in high esteem. But
what's wrong, Ryan?
Do Do you think everyone in the Midwest sounds like that?
Oh yeah. They all
No,
sound like that. Just
that's that state.
no, it's
That's
Fargo.
like the core and northern part of that state.
Oh, I know.
I'm just
No, I absolutely know. Yeah, I've
okay.
met a lot
because
of people from there. Yeah.
It'd be funny if on
because
the
you have said things before that have blown my mind. So I just want to verify.
I think that everyone in that chunk of basically all of Mountain Time sounds the
I
same.
I like to think that Devin thinks that's how they talk in that area, and then he watches like one of the seasons of Fargo with Chris Rock, and then Chris Rock doesn't have that accent. He's like, "What?"
Hold on.
That's
now
how
we
you
brought up-
realize that's not. Yeah.
Right. Well, now that we brought up the TV show, I'm curious from you guys. Have you guys seen at least season 1 of the TV show?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So, Ryan, this might interest you. The one thing that the Fargo TV show does that I think is incredible is for each season, they take 2 Coen Brothers movies and they mix them together. And that becomes the plot of each season. So, the plot of season number 1 is Fargo meets No Country for Old Men. Billy Bob Thornton's character is essentially Anton Chigurh, but in that world.
Okay.
All right.
What?
I'm
Ryan
trying
shaking
to.
his head.
No, Alan, you go
I
first.
I'm trying to think back on season 1 because that's the one with Martin Freeman, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Martin Freeman, and then Billy Bob Thornton is kind of like the ominous, like assassin kind of person.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the Strangers on the Train season 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it with that mindset now that
I think you're gonna get a lot more out of it now.
I mean, I got a lot of it out of it the first time. The first season wasn't my favorite season of that show, though.
What was your favorite?
I think I like the second one more. The one with Colin Hanks.
That one was a good one. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your thought on that, Ryan? You started laughing.
I don't like enough of their movies to like a concept where they take multiple movies from their portfolio and mix them together to make a TV show.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So talking about this movie, so we mentioned about the tension a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about something that I think really stands out for me in this movie, and something I think the Coen Brothers just generally do well, and that's the performances in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Javier Bardem, obviously a big standout performance. What did you think of his character in this and the choices that he made when acting?
So, what started this was that conversation that they had going into details on this character. I tried not to listen to the details of it, but from everything that I've heard about his performances, that he's very stoic. He doesn't talk much. So I was really expecting him to be silent most of the time, except for the few scenes that I knew he talked, like the convenience store scene.
Oh.
But I was kind of surprised by how much he actually did talk in this. But I thought it was a very eerie performance because you know what he's going to do, and there are moments where you can't see him, but you know he's there, and it just ups the tension level.
He's a presence.
Great use of doors to block him.
Yeah. Ryan, did you have the same reaction?
Yeah, I mean, the first time that I watched this, he was one of the things that I did actually like about it from the first time I watched it. And I really wish then there was more of him in it. But the second time around, actually watching it and finishing it, it's... I don't know how anyone or him could have played the character better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best thing I can say about anyone's performance in it. I've never seen anyone make a mullet bowl cut seem intimidating.
So, real quick, part of me had the intrusive thought of, I should stop at the barber and get that haircut for tonight's show.
Would Anna have let you in the door?
No.
It is a choice, this haircut. It is a definite choice.
But it also fits the character, and it fits the time that this movie is set in, which is like the late to mid 70s. So it's perfect.
I mean, that's true. That's incredibly true. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So then, were there any other like real standout characters? Because I mean, obviously Javier Bardem we can talk about for a long time and how he portrayed Anton. Did anyone else stand out for you particularly in this movie?
Lou Ellen,
Yeah,
mostly because they called him Lou Ellen the whole time.
Llewellyn.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's just like a inside joke with the Coen brothers, because Lou Ellen is spelled the same way that Lewin is inside Llewyn Davis. So like, do they just want to like do they just like that name and how it has two different like pronunciations?
You know, look that up.
But I thought I liked his journey. I liked him as like the main focus of the film, because you want to root for him, because like there's no bad intentions with anything he's doing. He's just trying to like better his own life. Like he's not going out trying to kill people. He's just trying to protect himself and his wife. And like chaos just follows him and death follow him wherever he goes. So, but I don't blame him for that. So like, I kind of sided with him a lot, like everything he did. Like I wanted him to succeed.
That's an interesting take, because I didn't always side with him. I mean, he didn't go killing.
Mm-hmm.
He was very smart about a lot of what he did. But he also did stumble upon a drug deal gone wrong and went, I guess I'm going to take this money now. And then just ran away with what is clearly well fought after drug money, and then thought it was going to be okay. Like it's that major choice that happened so early that for me, the character has to do so much good as the plot progresses for me to be back on his side. And I am by the end of the movie. I mean, by even the midway mark, basically by the time he sends his wife off, I'm on his side now. But for me, it's the selfishness of, well, I just stumbled across this money. Guess it's a payday. It's like, stop.
Well, I don't think it's even like it takes him a while to find the money. First he finds the dog, then he finds the shootout and the one person alive there, and then finds the last man standing who died by a tree, and there he finds the money. So it's like, we're in the middle of the desert. What else are you like? If you came across that in the desert, what would you do, Devin?
You know what? I thought about this a lot lately, because I had something like this happen to me literally yesterday on the train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't as like dramatic, but
tell us.
I was put in a situation where I could have intervened in much the same way, and I could have basically either been a really good person for having intervened, or I could have been made a target for having intervened. I basically walked in on people making plans to hurt somebody else. And my reaction to that situation was the same reaction that I would have had I been Llewellyn. I would have seen the dead dog. I would have seen the cars. I would have seen the guy against a tree and would have gone, this isn't my problem. I don't want a part of this. And I would have walked away. And I would have then like listened to the news or turned on my like ham radio, because it's the 70s, and would have like waited to hear something about it. But I would not have personally intervened and thought, let me benefit from this.
Okay.
What about you? Would you have had the same reaction? Because this is a good question. Because this is a bit of a moral gray area.
Are we talking about are we talking about the question on the train, or finding a body?
Let's talk about this specific scenario. Because I think for me, the question on the train was analogous enough that like, had I stumbled upon this in the desert, that was enough for me to go like, yeah, I would have walked away.
I would have left the crime scene alone, and then if I saw a trail of somebody else leaving, I would follow it and see if they were alive or not. I don't know. I'd try to help, and then probably contact the authorities.
Mm-hmm.
And probably not even bother with the money.
Yeah.
As tempting as it would be, with what is going on there, I would either contact the authorities anonymously and leave, or contact the authorities, and chances are somebody there has a reward out for them. So go that way.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Brian, what would you have done?
First, it took me a while to re-side with him because I thought the whole idea of taking the money was completely stupid to begin with.
Right. I mean, it's supposed to
And
be.
that was one of the little things that was bothering me the first time I watched this movie. When he took the money, I'm like, don't take the money. Don't take the money. Like, it was but then, the second time I was like, I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to roll with the storyline and see what happens. And the second time I watched this, it was a lot better. But yeah, no, it took me a while to like really care about him getting away with the money or not. Like, I was more concerned about his wife than I was about his safety.
Sure.
It was more like, why would you put your loved ones in a situation like that?
Mhm.
Why would you choose to take that money knowing full well what happened? Because he finds everything at the scene to let him know that it was a drug deal gone bad. And how old the bodies were. Like, he knew that time was running out. Like, why would you put your loved ones in that situation? But anyway, if I was in that situation in time, date, exactly like the movie was, if I were to take any money, I'm talking maybe the top 2 layers of cash, and that's it.
You're taking like a cool 10,000 and you're like, okay, I'm good. Like,
yeah, 10, 15, and then
Yeah.
just skip. And then, as long, it's like, and he was being super paranoid. Like, he was looking around, make sure that he wasn't being followed and everything like that. If I'm doing that same thing, I'm just taking like the top 2 rows. And when the other members come by to like find out what happened, somebody somewhere got away with 10 grand, but there's still like close to $2 million left, and that there was a shootout. Who knows what happened to that money? Hell, I'd even take the top 2 rows, leave the chassis open, and spill the rest of the cash out and bounce to make it look like like an animal got into it or something.
that's fair. That's fair. It's actually a really good call because then, an animal got into it. I don't need to look for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Smart. I actually really like that. So, Llewellyn taking the money essentially is what starts Anton Chigurh hunting him and looking, trying to find this guy. This is where we start to get 2 of the most iconic things from the movie. The first off, we get introduced to Javier Bardem's not preferred way of killing, but one of his first ways of killing, and that's the cattle probe.
Yeah.
I had never seen this prior to this movie. I had to
You
look up
haven't?
what he was. No, I had to look up what he was doing. I mean, obviously now it's like a 33-year-old who's seen this movie a lot. I know what it is and what it's used for.
Yeah.
I genuinely, the first time I saw this movie, thought he was just pushing a condensed puff of air into their head and it was blowing a hole.
They explain what it is in the movie too.
Yeah.
Oh, and apparently the first time I must have like missed the explanation because like I remember watching this movie a few times going, how is air killing them like that? And I mean, even in one scene where he pops the lock on the door with it, you see the rod come in and out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't know that's how they killed cows, by the way. Like, that is a new thing for me to have learned.
Is that why you're
Cows,
vegetarian?
Yeah.
It was a big part of it for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Treatment of
from
animals
this,
is high on my list.
from this movie? Like,
It's a mix of from this movie, and Alan, I think you were around for this at Penn State. Someone showed us a video. And it was a bad video.
So, yeah.
yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been on Rotten.com myself when I was younger. I probably know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, I'm sure you were.
So,
No.
no.
No, you don't know what we're talking about because this is at a street festival. They had like what looked like a food truck, and we went up to it and like, hey, watch this movie, and it was just like, oh man, it was in public.
It was graphic, and then they gave us $5 each.
Yeah.
That was do you remember that was the hook? Is watch this video, and if you make it to the end, you get $5.
We got the $5.
Yeah,
We got the $5.
Yeah, it was anti-meat industry prop. Yeah. No,
very much so.
Rotten.com had that stuff on there. It probably wasn't the same video, but it was definitely stuff like it.
Oh goodness, yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah, I learned something because of this movie.
yeah, no, it's not just cows; it's sheep's, pigs, and it happens so quickly that it's just like pop and done, exactly like the guy was.
Oh really?
So, and it's actually a lot more humane than what they used to do.
I don't know. I almost don't want to know what they used to do, or I'm going to go back to being fully vegetarian.
Well, I mean, they don't do that stuff anymore. They do the air compress thing with like with an air compressed jackhammer. So
Good. I mean, not good, but good, I guess.
it's better than the alternative. But anyway, let's keep on going. Anyway,
Yeah.
So that was iconic thing number one. Iconic thing number two, and Alan had brought it up. It takes us to the gas station scene. I will watch this scene any day, anytime, no matter what's happening. I love this scene. I know how the scene ends. I just love it. Did you guys have that same reaction to this scene? Ryan, I know the first time you watched it, you sailed past this scene and still decided to not finish the movie.
like I said,
Yeah.
I liked him and everything about him the first time I saw
Okay,
this.
got it.
It was everything else that was driving me nuts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you have the same reaction this time then?
Oh, I loved it. It's just like the first time I saw it. Like the way that like you could tell that the old man didn't know exactly what he was referring to, but he knew enough to be uncomfortable about the situation. And I feel like it was one of those interactions where the old man fully knew in his mind what the guy was talking about, but he didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so like beating around the bush about the whole thing.
I had seen this scene before I watched this movie.
Had you?
Yeah. It came up on the internet once and I watched it. I was like, I should watch this movie. This is some riveting stuff. It's such a great performance from both of them. I was looking up the other actor, Gene Jones, who's still active and I guess was just in the Blacklist a few episodes ago.
Oh, fun.
And he's going to be in the Killers of the Flower Moon, the new Scorsese movie that just premiered at Cannes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great performance. I think it's a riveting back and forth. He was also in Inside Amy Schumer.
Was he really?
Yes, that is...
As this character, as Anton Chigurh?
No. The attendant.
Oh, the attendant was.
Yeah. He was also on Chappelle's Show. So
What a career. This man.
yeah,
What's his name?
Gene Jones.
Gene Jones. What a good actor. What a good career. This man is criminally overlooked.
Yeah. Maybe not best supporting actor, but
No, but
people have been nominated for less.
One of those people. Yeah, he leads deserve to be one of those people that you go, oh, it's him.
Mhm.
Whenever he pops on screen.
Yeah. But no, I enjoyed that scene. It was a lot earlier on in the movie than I expected it to be
Sure.
for how iconic it is now. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene a lot.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, it's for me, it's what I love the most about this movie. It's tense, it's gripping. There's not a lot of music. They like let the scene breathe a lot too. It's not a lot of fast cuts. It's not a lot of, close zooms. Like it's very simply filmed, but just so well acted and so well set up that like it draws me in every time. Like no matter what I'm doing, I'll stop to watch this scene.
You bring up a good point where there's a lot of long pauses and waiting for things to happen in this movie, but nothing really seems like it goes on for too long. Like everything just, you can have edits where it goes by too fast and you don't get that dramatic tension, or it goes on too long and you have that tension, but then it just fades away because you're like, okay, let's move it along.
Yeah.
This really strikes that balance of finding the right amount of time. And it's a pretty decently long movie. I mean, what was it?
trying to find the
two
runtime.
two
Is
hour
it-
just over 2 hours. So, but it didn't feel like a long 2 hours. Like it moves steadily. It doesn't feel like it's dragging, which for as long and slow as some of these scenes are is impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because it's all tension, and it's all tension done right, which is what grips you and keeps you going in the movie. The movie also does something that I think is incredibly interesting, and I'm almost going to call it a bit of a trope, and I want you guys to challenge me, where it doesn't show you all of the action. It leaves a lot of the action up to your mind and shows you just the aftermath of this. This happens in the next scene where Moss runs to a hotel, or Llewellyn runs to a hotel, and you see the aftermath of the shootout at the hotel, but not necessarily the entirety of the shootout. And it happens another time in the movie as well, that I'll mention towards the end. But how do you guys find that? Because I remember that it happened in this, and then weirdly enough, it happens again in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where there's a couple of times where you don't see the actual action happening. It's implied off screen, and you see what happens there. Do you guys like this? Is it effective for you guys?
Ryan?
It depends how it's done, and it's
Yeah.
done right in this. Because like you can have action going on off screen, and then the camera eventually gets around to like where the action was happening, and all you have is one person standing there going, "Wow, that was a tough fight," and then someone really beat up on the ground, but there's no other visual evidence as to what happened.
Yeah.
This gives you like that scene that you were talking about where like he's driving to the motel, he hears the gunshots, he gets there, you see the one character and what happened to her, and then you see the one Mexican cartel member dragging himself away from the one room.
Mm-hmm.
And before he even gets there, you see the truck drive away, and then two guys scurry to jump into it before it eventually tears off down the strip. That was a perfect way of doing something like that.
Because it doesn't feel like magic. Like you see like the chunky aftermath of it,
Yeah.
and you almost don't even need to see the shootout happen. You get it.
Yeah.
I just learned something about this movie that I need to go back and rewatch it now.
Tell me.
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
I agree with Ryan. Like it depends on how it's done.
Mhm.
The scene that you haven't talked about yet confused me. Like I
Okay.
wasn't sure what I saw, so I had to go before the show. Like I picked it up from context clues, but I went back and rewatched that scene to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I didn't. Like I saw what I saw. It just kind of threw me for a loop because I wasn't expecting that to happen with. We might as well just say it. I wasn't expecting the main character to die like that.
Yes.
Like off screen.
Yes. That's totally fair. And it's another of I think the three examples of a character or characters being killed off screen and you just kind of see the aftermath of it. And I think this scene at the hotel is the best done of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you learn about the movie?
Who the cinematographer was.
Who
which
was?
Roger Deakins. You would know him from a lot of his stuff. He's one that I enjoy watching. He did Skyfall, Prisoners, True Grit, Doubt,
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Beautiful Mind. He's worked with them a lot, which I always forget that they work together so much. So
Well, I can totally see that then.
yeah, he did Blade Runner 2049, 1917.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got a really good style as a cinematographer then, because all of those movies are immaculately shot.
Yeah. All right.
So then, no, you brought up the one part I wanted to talk about then. How did you both feel about, because Ryan, I think this is the first time you've seen the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I was shocked the first time I saw the movie that they actually kill Llewellyn. They kill him off camera. And, I mean, essentially Anton Chigurh kind of wins. I mean, this is, in this movie, like, there would be this, in any other movie, there'd be this big shootout between Llewellyn and Anton, and Llewellyn would win and Anton would either die or like slowly lick his wounds and change his life of crime, and he and Carla Jean would go like riding off into the sunset. But that's not what happens here. What happens here is that Llewellyn dies and Anton makes off with the money. Did that shock you?
It followed my original feeling from the beginning of the movie that I
Really?
was like, dude, you shouldn't have taken the money. Like that was like the first thought I had literally when like, you know, Tommy Lee Jones walks up and sees him, and it's like, yep, shouldn't have taken the money. That sucks. I feel bad for him because I mean, like at that point I was like, okay, he shouldn't have taken the money. He put his loved ones in jeopardy, but he might actually do this against someone who's like John Wick before John Wick. Like that's pretty much who, you know, the villain is, or who like the bad guy is in this.
Yeah.
And one thing I liked about this is like I'm not really a big fan of like sad endings. I'm not really big on the whole like French ending of a movie. I guess that's the new catchphrase for it now.
Didn't know that.
I'm not big on those, but I'm happy to finally see a movie where they're like, yeah, no, he's a bad guy, he's a villain, but no one can stop him.
Mhm.
And that's just the way that the movie is. Like it's one of those where like the villain wins at the end, pretty much. And I liked that. It's different. And I've always wanted to see something like that, so yay.
And now you got to. Well done.
Yeah.
So did you have that, Alan? It sounded like you were shocked to see that he died.
I was shocked, but also wasn't that shocked because I wasn't expecting it to be somebody else who got him. That's what surprised me the most.
Yeah.
I was more surprised that Javier Bardem got away in the end.
Mm-hmm.
With his bone sticking out of his arm.
Yeah, so they do the thing at the end where he gets in the car crash and you think, oh, this is going to be it. Then this is how he gets caught. Like, it was a silly mistake and he didn't. No, he still gets away.
Yeah.
Supposedly. We'll see.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Controlled Men too.
to me, the fact that he was able to successfully distract a whole pharmacy and really perform surgery on himself, because one of the things I really liked about this was that they didn't show him actually do the surgery, but they implied everything about it. Like, they show him put down the tarp, and then they show him prep the wound in the bathroom. And then he goes back into the main part of the hotel, and he has surgical pads folded up next to him. And he's getting everything ready, and then they cut. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if he's the type of dude that he can perform surgery on himself, granted, a bone sticking out of the skin, yeah, I don't really think you can get painkillers at a pharmacy to help you reset something like that. I'm sure that he can walk into a hospital and make up something as to what happened, because he's driving a car that he probably more than likely found or killed someone for, so it's not like the car's in his name. And I just want to put this out there because I have a lot of people in my friend circle that are car people, and they tend to say things about newer cars compared to older cars. This car accident is a prime example of why old cars sucked in car accidents and why newer cars are amazing when it comes to car accidents.
So you'll have to tell me more, because I assumed that old cars were built like tanks and always survived car crashes, and new cars crumple like tissue paper and you should never get into a car crash with them. That's genuinely what I think.
I always thought
heard from people.
I always thought just don't get in a car crash. Like,
also a good point.
Yeah. So in those older cars, I guarantee you that the person in that world, in that universe, that T-boned him in the intersection, even though he was probably going to like 30 miles an hour, died in that car accident. The reason why the old cars looked better after car accidents was because they were tanks and they didn't give. So all of the force, all of the momentum, all of the kinetic energy was spent on you in the driver's seat.
Oh, wow.
No chest seatbelts and hardly any lap seatbelts at the same time.
Wow.
And so newer cars crumble because the car is taking all of the energy and all of the force from the car accident away from you, the occupant.
I genuinely didn't know that.
if that car accident would have happened today, there would have been a curtain airbag coming down, so his head wouldn't have went into the window and broken it. There would have been padding all around him just in the normal material that was being used. So maybe his arm would have been sprained but not broken the way it was. And the driver that T-boned him would have had a front airbag, his seatbelt on, and both cars would have dispersed, taking that energy away.
That's really interesting.
So when people say, like, oh, yeah, the car doesn't do too well. Yeah, no, you don't want the car to do well because it keeps you alive.
It takes it away from the person. That's a really interesting way to look at that. Because I just assumed, like, the better the car looked, the better the person inside looked. And it sounds like it's not the case.
It's the complete opposite.
Wow.
I mean, if you really want, and I'll end this whole rant on this. If you really want to see a prime example, watch Dale Earnhardt's Fatal Crash.
I've never seen it, and I've been like purposely not watching it.
It's not bad. You wouldn't even know because the car doesn't crumble. It doesn't turn around. It just hits the wall like 1,000 other cars have. But then watch but then watch a NASCAR crash from like 2 weeks ago, and look at the difference.
Do the cars crumble more now? Yeah, they do. Huh?
They do.
So I guess the last kind of plot point to bring up then was Anton wrapping everything up with Carla then after her mom's funeral.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he goes into the room, and I love this scene because she refuses the coin toss. She makes it all about his decision. Yeah. And it's not chance. It's not he does the same nonsense he did to the guy, and she's just like, no. I won't play this. And what did you guys think of that? Because he makes a choice, and he makes a choice out of his own free will for the first time in the whole movie.
Well, I don't think it's the first time in the whole movie because they only do the coin toss once with the guy in the gas station, unless I'm forgetting another time. Everyone else he's killed, it was a choice.
But I think it's because he's been told that these are the people that he has to kill. Like Carla, for example, he promised that he would kill Carla, so he's gonna go kill Carla. Like he has to go kill Llewellyn to get the
everything
money.
He did was in pursuit of the job.
Except for he didn't have to kill the gas station attendant. He left that one up to chance. He technically didn't have to kill Carla. He left that one up to chance, and then up to what he wants.
Yeah. I like that it was a little bit open-ended because we don't see him make the choice, right?
No, but you do see him check his boots when he walks out.
Listen,
he looks at the soles of his boots like he didn't want to step in the blood because they showed earlier when he kills Woody Harrelson's character, he moves his boots out of the way of the pool of blood that's spreading on the floor.
Listen, my headcanon for the scene is that he goes, okay, I won't kill you. She gets him a cup of tea. He breaks down a little bit because he finally had agency over his own life, and he was checking that his tears didn't stain his boots as he walks away to freedom. You cannot convince me otherwise.
And I mean, I guess it's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want your headcanon to be, Devin, that's your headcanon. Could be
it
wrong.
is.
Probably is, considering the evidence. But
yeah.
Before we wrap this up, I want to talk a little bit about the Oscars that this thing won.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was nominated for 8 Academy Awards and won half of them.
Whoa.
It won Best Picture, Best Directors, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Any of those categories you want to break down and talk about what it won against and see if it holds up?
I feel like adapted screenplay is going to make me laugh, but I feel like it may not hold up against best motion picture.
I mean, its biggest competition for most of these awards was There Will Be Blood. Because it was also nominated for 8 awards. They were pretty much nominated in the same category except for screenplays. Oh no, even for screenplays because they were both adapted.
We
the-
talk
the-
about how not fair it was that they both came out in the same year.
there's a story, and I forget which one's which, but they were filming at the same time in the same area. Oh, I know exactly what it was. So the smoke plumes they had from the oil rig
Yeah.
could be seen from the set of No Country for Old Men. And I think they might be in a shot, but I can't confirm that. So for Best Picture, it was also up against Atonement, Juno, Michael Clayton, and There Will Be Blood. Do you remember any of those movies?
2007 was a good year.
It was a good year. That was a good year.
I feel like it was a coin toss between There Will Be Blood and this one. Like, Juno was good. I haven't seen it in a while. I have it on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think a movie like Juno should win a Best Picture award up against movies like No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood. Like, Juno's good, but it's not that level of movie.
Yeah.
I think I'm the same way. I mean, I think because movies like No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood do the thing that I like movies to do, where they're about something, but they have a deeper meaning behind them. They get you talking about symbols and themes and character motivation in a way that Juno, despite it being a really good movie, definitely didn't do. And this is what I like discussing about movies: is what is the tone of the scene, what is the theme, how is the shot constructed, and
Mhm.
Juno seems a little bit less in terms of those things.
I mean, for Juno, it won Best Original Screenplay, which I think is fair, going up against. I say this and then I want to take it back. It went up against The Savages, Michael Clayton, Lars and the Real Girl, and Ratatouille. One of these things is not like the other. No, I like screenplay wise. Like, I feel like Juno has a lot more meat to it than Ratatouille. Ratatouille's got the nice vegetables laid out. Like,
It's a good way to do that. Yeah.
Um,
No, I think you're exactly right with that.
and then Javier Bardem for supporting actor was up against Tom Wilkinson for Michael Clayton, Hal Holbrook for Into the Wild, Philip Seymour Hoffman for Charlie Wilson's War, and Casey Affleck for the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Did he win?
No, Javier Bardem won.
Okay. I was like, Casey Affleck didn't win that one, right?
No, it was just a mouthful to say.
Yeah. Okay, I think he definitely deserved it out of that bunch. I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I would have worried had he been up against, I can't remember his name, the priest from There Will Be Blood. Because that was
Daniel
phenomenal.
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Not nominated, surprisingly.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Spectacular Paul Dano part.
Yeah.
We've done No Country for, or we've done There Will Be Blood, right?
No. But I've
Have
seen
you all
it.
seen it though?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we never will. But
If you want to revisit it, I saw it like on a DVD from Blockbuster on my little TV in my room when I was a kid. So I will. None of the rules matter that much, but we can bend it a little bit. Yeah. Has Paul Dano been nominated for Oscars?
I really want to see a scene where, and I forget the main actor from There Will Be Blood from Gangs of New York, Daniel Lewis. I would love to see him go up to Sugar and do the whole milkshake bit with the other guy just sitting there looking extremely miffed with his hand just laying on his silent shotgun, just waiting to snap. Like, waiting to snap.
Okay.
I have a straw all the way over here.
Paul Dano has never been nominated for an Oscar.
That is bullshit.
He was nominated. He was nominated for a BAFTA for There Will Be Blood, and that's it. Like he's gotten a Golden Globe nomination for Love and Mercy, Primetime Emmy nomination for some. I don't even know what that is, and some SAG awards for Little Miss Sunshine, which he won. 12 Years a Slave, he was nominated, and he was nominated for The Fabelmans for Best Supporting Actor from SAG, but that's it.
Wow. This poor man.
Every time
Someone has to be that person.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's gonna be the next DiCaprio. Like he's gonna have he should have been nominated by now. So once he does get nominated, he might actually win it.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Man, the Oscars were wild back then. Hosted by Jon Stewart.
Whoa.
I was going through the In Memoriam to see how many names I recognize. I only knew one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Heath Ledger.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a rough year.
Also, I didn't realize people just list out all of the names for the In Memoriam on Wikipedia.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that you can see it that way.
Yeah.
So, to wrap this up from my end, do you guys have any weird theories about the movie, about its tone, about its plot, about its characters? Because the internet is rife with weird speculation about this movie, and I'll share one.
I don't know if this even fits in there, but it was something that I was waiting, that I didn't think was going to happen. I was waiting for it. It didn't happen until the end, and I was happy that it did.
Mm-hmm.
Was that there was a character that called out Tommy Lee Jones's character. Because I hate this whole thing about when people say about how, oh, the moral degrade in the country, it's getting bad, and things didn't used to be this way, and all that nonsense, if you want to know how I feel about it. And I was happy that there was a character that actually did that to him. I guess it was like his dad's friend or his uncle. I must have missed what that guy in the wheelchair's relation was to him. But he looked at him and he was like, do you know how your great grandfather or grandfather died? And he told him about everything that happened. He was pretty much telling him this country's always been messed up. It's not just a new thing. It's and granted, this movie's set in the mid 70s, and pretty much the premise was bad stuff like this has always been happening since the country's been founded. It's just communication is getting to the point where now you're hearing about it when you normally wouldn't have. That made me happy because I don't usually see that in this type of stuff.
I'm gonna not answer your question. Have you tell me two, Devin?
Have me tell you what?
Two things that the internet talks about.
That the internet thinks about the movie?
Yeah.
So first of all, I have seen whether the wife or whether Carla Jean lives or dies, literally in the same article, talked about differently. I found an article by Screen Rant that was Carla's inability to choose or refusal to choose the coin toss is what saved her life. And then a paragraph later, after Shigor kills Carla, I'm like, you can't do that in the same article. So the internet isn't decided on it, which I think they're wrong. Obviously my teething was silly. But the other part is I found on Fan Theories, the Fan Theories subreddit, an article that got a good bit of traction was somebody thinks that Anton Chigurh and Sheriff Tom Bell are the same person, and that the movie's showing two different sides of their personality. One of which
Fight
is
Club.
Yeah. One of which is a burnt out version of him that's law abiding and sick of it, and then the other one who's kind of finally breaking free and doing what he wants. The evidence they give is there are a couple of interesting pieces of evidence, one of which is that whenever Anton first approaches the car where he kills the first person with the cattle prod thing, he apparently approaches it in very much the same way that a cop would, and has the same type of demeanor as a cop pulling someone over.
If you're pulling someone over in a cop car and you're not a cop car and you want the person to get out and believe you're a cop, you're going to act like a cop. That to me, that's not good enough evidence to even be circumstantial for that. Now, I will give, thinking about it, the one scene that I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand where someone might think that is
Mhm.
when he goes into the hotel room at the end and he hesitates about going in, and then they show Anton in like the corner waiting,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not there when he walks in, and then Tommy Lee Jones looks over and sees that the air vent's been unscrewed with a dime.
Yeah. I mean, here it says when Ed Thomas sits down in the hotel room where Llewellyn was killed, it cuts to a shot of Anton hiding in the same room. Anton, however, couldn't be hiding there without being found. It's crawling with police officers.
So the only other thing I can think of is that Anton showed up at a different time or when everyone left, because when Tommy Lee Jones shows up, the place is deserted.
Mm-hmm.
So he very well could have shown up after everyone had already left. And
Yeah.
with his little cattle prod death machine, he could have been in there and out within like 2.5 minutes.
I mean, that's fair. And generally, the reaction to this theory is it's really interesting, kind of thought-provoking, probably not even close to true. But it's kind of like my T theory, where like it's kind of fun to think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did those live up to your expectation, Alan?
Yeah, that does.
Oh, good.
So yeah.
Thank
that
you,
it?
Internet.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right.
So
Ryan, you got anything else?
one thing I want to talk about, because,
All right.
and I'll make it quick. When this movie first came out, one of the big things about it was that silent shotgun. And a lot of people went nuts about it, thinking, oh my God, is this actually a thing? And people like gun nuts went crazy about it because obviously something like that doesn't exist. It didn't back then. It didn't when this movie came out. You can't silence a shotgun. the way it's done in this movie.
Yeah.
So everyone tried to do what they could to actually make one, and one gunsmith somewhere like in 2010 or 9 actually did, and put up a video on YouTube of it. And did it actually work the way it did in the movie? No, because you can't because you cannot silence a shotgun. But they were able to shoot it without needing ear protection. Not saying that it's gonna be quiet enough to do what he was doing, but yeah, that caused a stir amongst a lot of people I knew, and that was one of the driving forces that I knew a lot of guys went to go see this movie just for the silent shotgun in this, because I think that is one of the coolest movie weapons that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So for me, the sound the silent shotgun makes is comparable to that monster that Obi-Wan rides in Star Wars Episode 3 in terms of like just sheer happiness at the sound they chose for the thing. Like the silent shotgun almost sounds like a laser pistol going off or like a ray gun. It's like it's a weird funny thing. And like I love it.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our review of No Country for Old Men. Ryan, it's your pick next week. What is your pick?
I know I told you guys The Faculty. I found out something as we were doing the show, so that's on the back burner for next time. Where I'm going back to an older movie, and we're going to do Psycho since it is available on Netflix.
Phenomenal.
So
all right.
I know I'm doing the same director back to back, but I really want to get you guys to watch that Mel Brooks movie. And the quickest way to it is a straight road, and this is my straight road. And this is my
I'm not mad at all.
All right. So tune in next week for Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. You can listen to all episodes of You Have to Watch This podcast on all major podcasting platforms. You can subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Devin.
And what is the most you ever bet on a coin toss? See you next week.
My pogs.
Did you lose your pogs in a coin toss, Ryan?
2 of them, yeah. I got them back, though.
Bad move.
In a game
I've
of
never
Keeps.
actually played Pogs before, by the way. Have you?
I still have all of my Pogs. I still have all of them.
You have to bring them next time.
I'm going to, and we're gonna play Pogs. I used to play them for keeps when I was in 5th grade. And that's
Okay.
how I got the ones back that I lost in a coin toss.
Can I buy Pogs? I want to play you for your Pogs.
Yeah, no, you can. They still sell them. I mean, they're a bit more expensive than they used to be, but they still sell them.
Are they a bit more expensive?
Well, yeah, because they don't, they're not selling like Pokemon cards anymore, as you can probably imagine.
So people are just here talking about
I'm still
Pogs.
recording too. I haven't stopped my recording.
Oh, good.